Alrighty then. I'm here today. We're going to talk about Chapter 11 and the assignment for this week. So we'll just jump right in, get started. Chapter 11 is all about product concepts, branding, packaging concerns. And so in order to really kind of get into that conversation, we need to be sure we know what a product is. So a product can be a good, which is a physical item, something you can put your hands on. It could be a service, something that you're doing for a customer, like giving them a haircut. It could even be an idea. So intellectual property of some kind. And so basically, though, when we think about products, we're going to put them into a consumer bucket or a business product bucket. And so I've just listed out those different categories, and you should know the difference between these and be able to talk about them a little bit. Okay, so let's see, getting into this here. So when you talk about a company's products, you can talk about their product line or their product mix. And so a product line is a group of products that are similar in some way. So could be soups, for example, Campbell's Soups could be one of their product lines. Product mix has to do with how many different product lines a company offers. So in the book, I think they talk about Procter & Gamble with detergent products versus, let me see if I can just pull that up here real quick. Sorry, I'm flipping. So yeah, Procter & Gamble, they've got laundry detergents, toothpaste, soaps, bar soaps, deodorants, shampoos, and tissue towel products. So each of those different categories represents a different product line in Procter & Gamble's product mix. So when you talk about the width of a product mix, you're talking about how many different lines are included in that product mix. And if you're talking about product depth, that is an average for how many different product items are in the different product lines that make up a company's product mix. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so just kind of get your arms around those different terms and concepts. Okay, so if you are introducing a new product to the market, you will hear people talk about the product life cycle. And so for every new product, you're going to have an introduction of the product. You're going to see hopefully the product go through a growth phase where sales and especially sales and profit are growing. A maturity phase where sales are leveling off. Actually, sales at that point would reach their max, but profits would be declining at that point. And then in a decline phase. So I didn't explain that very well, but you'll see products move through those progressions. And so the point is that the marketing efforts that will happen at each of those phases are different, strategically different. In the introduction phase, you're losing money probably as a company, but you're spending a lot of money in order to get people to be aware of your product, to try your product. And so that's a focus in the introduction phase. In the growth phase, on the other hand, here you're seeing competitor products come in, and so you're spending more time and energy reacting or protecting your position in the market, given what the competitors are doing. And so then in the maturity phase, now here you really are jockeying with competitors and working with your channel to try to gain some strategic leverage in the market based on how you distribute your product. And then in the decline phase, here you're having to make some decisions about, do you take different products out of your mix? Do you continue to support a product? Do you just make it obsolete, let it go away? So there's different important considerations strategically that need to be dealt with at each of the different phases. And so kind of hand in hand with that, when you are launching a new product, it is a strategic effort to make people aware of your product and to get them to try it. Okay, so the process that consumers go through when they are considering a new product are first that you have to make them aware of it, get them to be interested in it, get them to evaluate the product, make it enough on their awareness, high enough on their threshold of perception that they're even evaluating it as an option, and then finally get them to try it and hopefully to choose your product. So there is definitely a process there, and strategically, different marketing efforts that go along with creating awareness, creating interest in a product, getting people to try the product, and the marketing that happens there is distinct. Okay, so let's see. Part of that process, part of getting your product to be something consumers are interested in, to get people to start buying your product and get them to get your product to move through the growth phase and make it into a mature product that is established in the market. Very important in making that happen is to develop a strong brand. So when you have a strong brand in the market, this is a situation where consumers know what your product is. If you say the name of your product or show the brand symbol or the brand mark associated with your product, consumers will know what that is, and they will have a certain perception about it, hopefully a positive perception that, oh, that's a good product, and I want that product because I know it's quality, or it makes me look good to my friends, or I know that I'm not going to ever have to repair it. You talk about Toyota cars or Honda cars, people think of them as very reliable. Developing a brand is really, really important, not only for you as a seller to generate repeat business, repeat purchasing from your customer base, but also for the buyer, because it does communicate to their social circle some sort of esteem or if I buy this product, people will recognize that I'm an intelligent consumer. It just means something to both sides of the transaction. All right, so brand equity equals value, really. You can actually talk about the financial worth of a strong brand. So that's what brand equity is about. And so strategically, there are so many things wrapped up with branding. When you are developing your brand, you need to decide if you're going to put it on the market with a manufacturer brand. Actually, resellers are out there branding their own products. So you have a Walmart brand, for example. And so that's a case of the reseller actually branding their own product. And so then generic branding, there's no identification on the product that indicates who's manufacturing it. So that's the difference there. And each of those come with some strategic thinking behind them. Manufacturers may want to drive the brand value, the brand equity, or the brand position, I guess is the right word. And so it may be in their best interest to have a manufacturer brand on a product. On the other hand, for a company like a Walmart, it could be very strategically important for them to have their own brand and to be less reliant on the manufacturer, for example. It could be strategically important to not identify your position as a manufacturer and therefore to put out a generic brand. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. Along with that, you may choose to brand a product individually, or you may choose to have a family brand. So Campbell's soups all look something the same. They have a different name on them, but they're part of a family, and that's obvious. With an individual branded item, that's not the case. So brand extension, this would be a case where you have an existing brand and you're coming out with a new product in a new product category, and you might put the same brand name to it, so it gives it some immediate recognition in the marketplace. Co-branding, this is when two players, two different brands come together on a product. It can be a real win-win to leverage the names of well-known and companies that have a good high brand equity. And then brand licensing, this has to do with when you allow some other manufacturer to use your brand name. So you'll see this a lot with sports, professional football team jerseys and hats and things like that. That's an example. All right, could go on and on and on about branding. There's a lot to that. All of this also feeds into how you package your product. Now, when you're packaging a product, of course you want the product to be protected. So think about cookies, for example. You don't want to sell cookies that are purchased and they're all smashed up. And so there's a protection element to packaging. But there's also a marketing aspect or promotion aspect to packaging. And sometimes packaging is strategic in that it's got a real innovative design element to it that can actually give you a competitive advantage in the marketplace. So it's an important area to kind of keep your to not forget about. It's not a simple thing. It can be a very important thing. And so with respect to strategy, you may choose to alter your packaging in order to make a splash in the market, in order to remain competitive compared with what other offerings are doing with their packaging. You may choose to use a packaging design that lets consumers do something more with it after they've consumed the product. So jelly jars that can be drinking glasses, for example. Category consistent packaging is where you're trying to fit in with the packaging of related products in the market, so that you're consistent with that, with what people see for that product category and what they expect to see. On the other hand, innovative packaging makes you different in some way from what the other competitors are doing, and that can be a source of competitive advantage. Multiple packaging is when you're putting multiple product pieces together in the same package. So big packages with lots of different small containers of chips in them, for example, that kind of thing. And then handling improved packaging. This has to do with making your package work for the distribution process. All right, so along the same lines, labeling can be used to identify a product, to deliver the brand name and leverage that brand value. It can be used to promote a product. It can be used to give information, and there are some legal requirements to labeling. So all of those can be strategic and how you leverage them when you're marketing a product. So that's why we're talking about them. Okay, so here's some definitions and concepts from Chapter 11 that I'd like you to be aware of and to be able to talk about or understand. Let's see. So know the different product categories, consumer versus business. Be able to talk about product item versus product line versus product mix. Know the categories of consumer adopters. Some of this we've already talked about. Let's go ahead and move on to the assignment for this week. All right, so in this week's discussion assignment, we're going to look at one particular manufacturer case where they're trying to build brand awareness. And I want you to kind of, what's the right word? Play with the impact of their marketing choices with respect to introducing this new novelty bar line. What does that do to their company offering? And if you were them, what would you do to help develop their brand, given what they're trying to do in the marketplace? Question 2 has to do with product life cycle. And so I want you to just speculate here. We've got a Gaga Sure Better brand, and then it's different somehow from ice cream, normal ice cream. So I just want you to speculate on how the product life cycle for the different products might compare and might be different. How they might be the same or might be different. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Anyway, so play with that. I'd like you to be using concept terms from these different sections in your responses, and of course that makes a difference in how you score on the assignment. In MindTap, the Chapter 11 quiz is the part this week that's going to be graded. I do want to point out that I'm playing with the feedback options with these quizzes in MindTap so that I can give you a little better feedback information on how you did with the quizzes and where you, if you missed points, where those were, why that happened. So just know I'm working on that and trying to get something a little better to you with respect to feedback. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions. Y'all have a good weekend, and I'll catch up with you next week.